Welcome to the Poisoner's Cabinet. I'm Sinead.
And I'm Nick.
And this is your weekly podcast exploring the lives of the great poisoners and macabre murders from across the centuries and creating curious cocktails inspired by the tales that we tell. And it's episode 107! Woohoo! Yay! Episodes! Do we know what episode it is? We don't know. I think we established that last week.
We got it wrong last week, didn't we? So
maybe we just say, and it's an episode.
And it's the latest episode, the newest episode.
The very freshest,
latest episode.
Hot off the presses.
Yeah.
How are you, Nick?
I'm alright. Got a drink. Go it.
Oh, you're all business today, aren't you?
What is this? Come on. Moving on.
I have lying down to do.
I'm lying down and sleeping to get on with.
Okay.
Yes, and then you were purposefully late.
I wasn't purposefully
I'll
late.
be there till like 6:30, 7 o'clock, rock up at 8:45.
7:30 I was here. Yeah, my life revolves around making your life worse.
Everyone's does.
Oh, good. Okay, we'll any poisonings this week?
Mainly my back at the moment. It's fucking killing me.
Was that why you're grumpy?
Possibly, yeah. I move and it goes, ah, and it really hurts, and I don't like it.
You shouldn't do that.
You shouldn't do that, no, which is why I'm annoyed.
Oh, do you want some of my various back paraphernalia that I use to keep mine in check?
I'm intrigued by back paraphernalia.
I've got one of the spiky mats.
Yeah, I'm tempted by one. My brother swears by his, and I'm very tempted by one of those.
They are quite an experience, I might say. Because you kind of think it's all holistic, and then you lie down and go, Jesus Christ, this is a bed of nails. I've also got a back wedge.
Back wedge.
Yeah, you wedge it to your lower back, and then you bend backwards, and it's meant to sort of correct your spine.
I
it's
don't
meant to have the
bend
curve.
very well at all, really.
Oh, you'll like that. Sometimes when you bend backwards on it, you get, that really satisfying big click. You're like, oh, yeah.
I just need to buy a new mattress. That's what I need to do.
Anyone who's just listening to this first time is
great,
going,
isn't
where is the poison and cocktails? What is happening? Poisoned the back. That's it.
Yeah, that's where we started on that one.
To be fair, many of our episodes have started with us complaining about our backs.
It's because we're old now.
Hey, Gen Zers, this is what you've got coming to you.
Yes, it's all in your future.
Indeed. Well, speaking of crippling back pain and paraphernalia that you keep in your house that might be torture devices, I think it's time for us to thank our delicious Patreon subscribers.
We most certainly should, and they are all wonderful. We have no new Patreons this week, so it's a perfect opportunity for you to come and join us on Patreon. We've had many exciting episodes. There's almost 100 Patreon episodes out there.
But it's 88, so it's...
That's almost 100. I thought, for some reason, I thought we were in the 90s. But okay, 88. No. That's still a high number.
It is. It's a high number.
It's a high number of extra episodes everyone could be listening to right now.
Indeed, there's some cracking ones out there. We were very, very modern this week. We went very old and then very modern. We carried on the crocus poisoning theme, going back into Greek mythology, and then bang up to 2015 with a case.
Yes, that's as modern as we've ever been. So you're missing out if you're not on Patreon. But for the price of some coffees a month, you can have all the access. I don't know. How much is coffee where you are?
The price of an avocado toast.
The price of something where you are, you could get all the episodes.
Yes, it's the price of something. Very much so.
I am a marketing expert, I'll have you know.
Yes, well, do join us on Patreon. We also have an extra special promo for you this week from the gorgeous people over at The Ghost Gig. Now, this is a paramusical podcast. It is different, it's original, a wonderful podcast. Have a listen to their promo.
Hello, and welcome to The Ghost Gig.
Hello, that's Alice. My name's Vince. We're two musicians and we have a slightly unhealthy obsession with horror.
So we thought, why not put the two things we love together?
Yeah, so we watch horror films and we write songs about them.
And the result can sound like this.
Folks plead and cry, shag and they die, and the rest is mostly filler.
Or like this.
Once she's resurrected, the shit goes down.
All this?
Yeah, the zombie cat flick, the zombie cat flick.
Yeah, I like that one. Or once it sounded like this.
Now Dracula's using the monsterverse of battery. He could bite on your neck and blow a raspberry.
We cover stories too.
Yeah.
The weirder, the wonderful, the better.
Oh, absolutely. All things vaguely horrific. Like...
Exorcisms.
Vampires.
Ghosts in McDonald's.
Drunk ghosts.
Hitchhiking ghosts.
Cat ghosts.
Mysterious beasts.
Cannibals.
Night hags.
Nightmares. And bad dates.
And lots and lots and lots of...
silliness, usually.
Yeah, a lot of silliness. So, if you fancy a bit of musical spooky banter...
If you do, you can find us on your favourite or your least favourite podcasting platforms.
And you never know.
We just might scare you a little.
So, all there is left to say is...
ghost gig. Are you sitting comfortably? Then let's begin.
Do check out the Ghost Gig. Wonderful pair of people there. Do give them your ears.
A wonderful pair of people.
Yeah. Well, that's a nice phrase. You're a wonderful pair of people.
Wonderful pair of people.
A pair of people, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have no individuality about you whatsoever.
God, no.
No, you're just a pair. That sounds weird.
That's genius. That's what that is. I've overstepped my mark, clearly.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, are you ready
God, no.
to drink cocktails and talk about poison? Or if your back is really bad, we could drink poison and talk about cocktails.
Some nice strychnine or something. That might do the trick.
No, you don't want strychnine for back pain.
Well,
Well,
no,
that'll send it into spasm.
Yeah, but I'm thinking a nice spasm might click it into place or something. Just one big jerk, and it might just get. And go, oh.
You know what's going to happen after this is that I'm going to come at you and try and click you back because I can do it, but you're going to resist me, and it's going to be your fault if it doesn't work.
Yeah, of course, it's my fault. Yeah.
Well, shall we go with the first one?
Okay, let's have a cocktail.
Shall we dull it with
Let's
alcohol?
Dull the pain.
And then resort to poison if it doesn't get any better.
Why not?
Good, let's go with the first one.
Okay.
Hooray, hooray, hooray. It is my episode this week, my story, but of course we can't possibly have a story or any back pain without a cocktail in hand. As you know, dear listeners, every week we choose a secret ingredient that is inspired by the tale that we tell, and it will flavour our cocktail of the week. My story, my pick. And so this week's secret ingredient is, Nick... Big bunch of keys.
Big bunch of keys.
Big bunch of keys.
Now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If it turns out that someone opens a door with a big bunch of keys, then we will not be impressed. That's the sort of shit I pull. So we have higher expectations of you on this one.
There were many, many weird options for this episode. This episode is a roller coaster of many quotes and many things. But a bunch of keys, it's not just to open a door. Someone didn't know, creaky door opening, and they went into another room where things happened.
Okay, as long as the keys are involved in a fundamental way somewhere along the story.
I personally love their involvement. It's small, but it's mighty.
Okay.
Much like a key.
Yes, okay. So my question to you is...
Yes.
How many keys are there in a bunch of keys?
Oh, I don't know, actually.
And think
now,
carefully,
what forms
because
a
there
bunch?
is a correct answer.
Oh, there's
to
a
this
correct answer, is there? Okay, well, what is it? A bunch or a bushel? Or is it, a bushel of keys? 2 is company, 3 is a crowd.
Okay,
I'm going to go
intrigued.
with 5. 5 keys.
Yeah, ooh! Ooh!
What?
You got it. Bang on!
Yay!
Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah.
You got it right.
You can't, like, 2 is just, it's a clink.
Two's a pair of keys.
It's a pair of
It's a pair of keys. You can't have a pair of keys.
3 is just a sort of a clinking effect that's not
Yeah.
that's a bit underwhelming. 4, ooh, interesting. Who are you? Where are all your houses? And 5 is, yeah, that's sensible. You wear those on your belt, walk around the office, that's responsibility. That is.
Absolutely, that's power right there.
You can open the cupboard, buy the photocopier.
You can get the stationery. That is responsibility. So 5 keys.
Oh, we're having a 5
We're having a 5 keys.
We're having a 5 keys.
A 5 keys cocktail.
Lovely. I'm excited, I'm intrigued, and I think it's high time that we have a cocktail to quell the demons. So why don't we hop into the poisonous cabinet
There's
kitchen?
There's no hopping. Okay. There's a hobble, maybe.
A limp. Let us drag our aching limbs into the poisonous cabinet kitchen and shake up a storm. So we'll see you in a minute.
We'll see you in a bit.
And we're back.
Hello.
Oh, Nick, 5 keys.
5 whole keys.
Now this looks like a very elegant cocktail. It's a brown.
It's a brown cocktail.
Haven't had one in a while, actually. A brown.
That's true. I mean, last week eclipsed all others, so...
Yes, we're blind from that one. And I like the accoutrement that you have garnished it with. I'm spying a cherry,
A cherry. It has a cherry.
but you've used your lovely top hat.
Indeed. They haven't come out for a while. So.
No, they haven't. They haven't. I like a top hatty
Yeah,
thing.
it's my thing. I need to improve my garnish game. My garnishes are lacking.
Need is a strong word.
No, I think they do definitely add something.
It's a nice thing to have. The icing on the cake. The cake is good. The cake is good.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But the icing is nice.
But what it precisely.
And then
So I
put a
think-
cherry on it and it's fine. Great. Okay, well, it looks very nice. Oh, it smells of booze.
Smells boozy. well, yes. Well done, yes.
That's always good. Okay, so the 5 keys. I have high hopes, hopefully. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Ooh, yum, 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 yum. Oh, yes.
The official verdict of Nick. Yum, 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 yum. Three little mates from school, are we? Oh, wow. Wowzer.
Spirit forward, I think we would say.
You may be saying that. I may be saying all manner of words soon. Spirit forward, yes. Oh, that is good. That's something there.
Oh, that's all. I'm happy with this.
Nick is very happy. It's not his episode, and he's found the perfect drink. Oh, so that is a really nice spirit forward. I'm just going to keep saying that word. Yeah, that is a lovely cocktail. So
Really good.
I'm thinking bourbon is in there.
You would be absolutely correct.
And maraschino.
Yes.
Because it's got hints of...
It has got that sweetness, and the cherry is a bit of a giveaway on that one as well.
Well, it's got hints of a Red Hook, which is one of the greatest cocktails ever. But I'm thinking it's not that.
It's not that. It has it is a variation of
A Red Hook.
said beverage. But it does have an
twist.
additional ingredient.
Oh, okay. Because I'm...
Which you might be able to tell, because there is something that sort of slightly kicks in the back of the back of the throat.
It does. And I'm terrible at this. I pride myself in having a good palate, and as soon as someone says that, I'm like that person at a quiz who goes, I don't know, and as soon as you say it, go, oh god, I knew that, but I'm lying clearly. What is it? You're gonna say it and I'm gonna know, but I don't know.
Absolutely.
Okay, so bourbon.
So yeah, we have bourbon, we have maraschino, we have a red vermouth,
yes.
classic of your Red Hook. We also have then Cynar as well in there as well. Which
No,
is
I would
that
not have guessed that.
Just given that sort of slightly bitter herbal thing. And the quantities are not what you would have for a Red Hook as well. You're less on the bourbon, more on the other spirits. But yeah, it's really good.
Well, the Cynar, I was thinking when I tasted it, I did have this instance of herbal. What's he done? Has he put fucking chartreuse in there? But I didn't shrivel up and die and start bleeding from the eyes. So yeah, I was thinking, has he done some sort of herbally goodness in here?
I would be intrigued to try that with some chartreuse rather than the Cynar potentially. That could be interesting.
You would be alone.
That's fine. I mean, more than that. Yeah, it's probably better I was, to be honest, in that case.
Some people do it with KFC. You do it with chartreuse.
Yeah, pretty much.
That is delicious.
That's really good.
What a winner.
Nice.
And again, the Cynar that you bought for one thing. And
it's come across in a lot of cocktails, actually, because we've used it. Because we bought it for one cocktail, thinking, I'll never use this, it'll sit in the back of the cupboard.
Yeah.
But it's come out in a lot of things.
I think we should do a ranking at some point of the random bottles of liquor that we have bought for cocktails that have made more appearances. So the Cynar is one. The Saint-Germain, actually.
The elderflower, absolutely. That has come out repeatedly.
That's come out. The Sake's come out. There's been a couple of others that we've used. There's some that are just sitting at the banana.
Well, there's things like the banana. I think the lychee liqueur that I've got like a whole bottle of when we've used it in one cocktail.
No, I did have a weekend where I just kept making those, and they're delicious. I will have these all the time, and I haven't.
I think there's some rose in the back there as well, which we used at some point, which has never seen the light of day.
No.
So yeah, there are a few odd things in there, which I think I really need to find a use for those. Otherwise, they're just going to sit there forever. But
I think that would be good content to do a ranking of the random shit at the back of your cabinet. You can make more out of. Invest in this. Don't buy a bottle of this. People, if you need some banana liqueur, we'll ship it out to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we ain't going to drink it. Lovely. Oh, well, with the 5 keys firmly in hand, one for each finger.
Quite.
That'll open the doors to possibilities.
Okay.
That was one of those instances where just the train of thought was going, and it was like, Sinead, stop.
Yes.
No. You don't know what you're saying.
Going to a place where trains should never go.
The doors are open. Are you ready for a story, Nick?
Yes.
Hurrah, hurrah, hurrah. Well, we are going back to yet another classic Victorian tale of murder and mischief.
Ooh.
Possibly. Now, this is one of these stories that you find this is from a wonderful book called Murder by Gaslight, is one of the most definitive records of this story. There's also been an account of it written by Linda Stratmann, who has also written one of our other favourite books, The Secret Poisoner. The details on this case outside of that, because these guys have done so much research, are few and far between, but when you read it, you go, yum, 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 yum. This is a roller coaster. This is a roller coaster of incidents and anecdotes in it, which boils down to a slightly curious case, but the detail that people have found, I fell in love with. So I hope you enjoyed. So come with me now. Come with me now.
Come on then.
Foul play behind the doors of a simple Victorian household in a town you might recognise, Nick. We are telling the tale today of Dr William Lyddon.
Lyddon.
Reeks is his middle name. It's just Lyddon. It's some sort of Game of Thrones nod there.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Back in the 1800s. William was born in 1849 in Derbyshire. His father was a collector of taxes.
Oh, I made him popular.
And his mother died when he was a year old.
Yeah.
That wasn't her job. That was just unfortunate. Now, Daddy did remarry. He remarried an innkeeper's widow.
Okay. An innkeeper's widow. She didn't have a name.
No, she did. Elizabeth.
Oh.
Eliza, she was also known as. Mrs. Lyddon II. She had 2 sons and a daughter from a previous marriage. Mrs. Lyddon would give birth to another son, Charles, her youngest, William's half-brother, in 1861. Now, by 1878, the 29-year-old William was qualified as a doctor.
Ooh,
Fully
fancy.
qualified, was going to be practicing GP, married a lovely lady named Sarah, and they had moved to a beautiful home in Faversham. Americans are going, what's that now?
It's very near where we are right now.
It's very, very near.
Very, very near.
My husband basically grew up in all of the places that were mentioned. And staggeringly, he picked out this story for me and came at me going, you have to read this, you have to do this story, you have to do this story. So he had a GP practice on West Street in Faversham. If you ever come to England, a lot of the places I mentioned in this are still there, are open to visitors and patrons. Please go and enjoy it. It's a beautiful, beautiful town. So, lovely practice. But the happy start to William's career would be somewhat dampened by the death of his wife just a year after they'd moved to the town.
That does tend to dampen things
It
slightly.
doesn't make it easy, does it? No. Now, William's broken-hearted, of course. He continued to serve the community as a GP, fairly well respected, but he had perhaps understandably relied a little too heavily on the drink after the tragedy to quell the loneliness.
Yes, that's not unheard of, really, is it?
And now, at the same time, William's younger half-brother, Charles, had begun to study medicine himself in Canterbury.
Oh, gold. They're all coming down south.
They all moved down south. The parents lived in Canterbury. Yes, and he studied here. Didn't finish his studies, didn't qualify, but he qualified as a dispenser in the end.
Okay, pharmacist.
Yes,
Still
pharmacist.
perfectly reasonable profession, I feel.
Indeed, indeed. And this is how Charles ended up working at his brother's practice. He ended up working with him around 1878 is when he first went there in Faversham. Charles is quite nicely set up. He gets an allowance from Mummy and Daddy of £200 a year. William also promises to pay his half-brother £50 a year for his services.
So fair enough, he's doing a job.
Trouble is, William didn't ever actually pay him that salary.
That's less good.
Yes, he didn't pay him, kept promising to do it and say, I would definitely pay you, I will get round to paying you. You don't really need it, Mummy and Daddy. And also, can I borrow some cash? So yes, he needed the money for special medicines named whiskey, mainly. Now, families are forgiving, and certainly Charles had enough money from the bank of Mum and Dad to keep him, so they continued to work together for a few years. And in 1886, Mum and Dad and Charles all moved to Faversham, and they move in with William. Now, maybe it's to save money, maybe it's to cheer William up,
Quite.
maybe it's to address his drinking. I don't think it was the latter, because Mrs. Lyddon, the mother, definitely loved to drink herself. Absolutely loved it.
Okay.
So did Charles. And it was said that William would drink half a pint of whiskey a day, not in one go. Charles would drink a pint of whiskey.
It's pretty good going.
So, yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot to get
that's a
through.
lot
I
of
mean,
whiskey.
over a day, maybe, but maybe they just do shots.
Yeah, but you wouldn't start it. Would you start at like 7 in the morning or something like that with a
I think
with
they
a nice
might have.
tot of whiskey?
They are obviously all moved in together. You think they'd be having a whale of a time, wonderful, everyone's
I
drinking.
doubt it very much.
Yeah, yeah, not so much. William's patients are definitely on. They're sort of going, when is he going to turn up for work?
Yeah.
And he's pissed most of the time. He does maintain this GP's practice, and he does maintain this air of respectability. People like him. He's probably not the best doctor around. A few people are going to question him, really. Now, Mr. Lyddon Sr., Daddy, dies not long after moving there. He's probably sick of the piss heads around him. So it leaves the 2 half-brothers and mother. And what had started as a decent enough living arrangement soon seemed to start irking young Charles. There's no doubt that his own drunkenness had probably stopped him from ever having a decent career. Let's face facts here. But he was now getting increasingly jealous of William, or certainly had hostility towards him. William is now into his 40s. He's not in the best of health. He's not very good as a doctor, yet he has this beautiful townhouse that they're all living in at his grace. He is earning a salary that Charles should have had if he'd stopped fucking drinking.
if he had done the work.
Yeah, exactly.
To qualify. So.
And after Mr. Lyddon Sr. had died in 1886, Charles hasn't got the allowance anymore. He's only got a pittance from his mother, because obviously what was left has to keep the mother. He's not getting all that income. And also, William's not paying him.
Yeah.
It is noted that he did receive an inheritance from an uncle who died. He received £270 and some furniture and plate.
Nice.
Do love the expression, you receive some plate.
So some plate?
What is plate to people who don't know?
Well, you said that. I would say, is it like silver plate?
I think so.
I don't think like plates as in like crockery.
Here, have a plate.
I think it's like silverware. So.
It's the finery of the house.
Yes.
He's not got an income and he's getting bitter about it. So
Why didn't he just go and get a job?
Because he's a pisshead.
But if you're getting that...
It's a very fair comment. Why don't you get up off your arse?
Yes, your brother's fucking you over completely.
Yeah.
Saying you're working for him and he's not paying you. He's a trained dispenser. That's not a small career or small achievement.
No.
So go and get a job. I don't think you would have an issue finding a job somewhere.
Normally, I would agree
But
with you.
alcohol
Yes.
might play an issue in that.
Yes, and as this story plays out, you might see something into his mental state.
Okay.
So by 1889, he's finished being Jack the Ripper, because all stories come back to that.
Quite right.
William is barely holding on to his practice. He's maintaining it. Charles is getting more and more quarrelsome with his older brother. They would drink together and then they would argue. They would sleep it off and become friends again.
Well, that's what brothers do.
When
That's what
there's-
family, siblings do that.
There you go. When they're sober, best of friends. Few drinks into them. You've always hated me. You don't like my shoes. The cycle would go on and on and on, and it turns into this farcical tale that lasts over this year and the next year as well. So in April of that year, William has to go into hospital for an operation on a stomach ulcer. No surprises why. William is very frightened that he might not survive. It's a dangerous operation back then. Charles is also very worried because his brother owes him a lot of money, £500 in unpaid wages. So that's basically 10 years worth of wages.
Yeah. He hasn't received it so far. I don't think he was going to pay it to me tomorrow, but now he's gone to hospital. No.
William has no will. So Charles has this great idea that he wants William to sign a deed of assignment before he goes into hospital.
Okay.
Now, he consults one lawyer. The names are great. Mr. John Wiggins of Whitstable.
Wiggins of Whitstable.
Yeah. They both talk to him. But then Charles decides to go with Mr. Frederick Gibson, a lawyer from Sittingbourne, another lovely Kent town, under Charles' instructions solely. He wants it guaranteed that Charles will be repaid a debt of £560 in total. And the deed of assignment would bind William absolutely, in these this is the exact quote, absolutely to sell and assign Charles Lyddon all his interests and goodwill in the practice, the debts, stock in trade, horses, carriages, furniture, plate, and effects.
Yeah.
I don't know what the effects were on top of this.
Or just everything else.
It's fireworks.
It's just all his stuff.
Now, this deed of assignment is signed, and there is definitely confusion about what this means. Certainly on Charles's part, the lawyers are very much like, okay, should something happen, or if he's incapacitated, then this can happen. This is not like life insurance. It's not that. Both,
No.
Both men sign the deed, and they're witnessed by their servants. One of them is the landlord of the Sun Inn, who's also their coachman, a man named Amos. The Sun Inn, still open in Faversham. You can go to that pub. It's very beautiful. William thought that if he survived the operation and was able to work, there would be no need of this deed to exist anymore. But he was said to have regretted signing it as soon as it happened, because he knows of Charles's temperament. He had commented, "I think I've made a very big mistake." Charles, positively preening, said after signing it and after a few drinks, "I am master of everything now."
That's very dramatic.
Master of everything.
Master
He
of
uses this
everything.
phrase a lot.
Okay.
William would go to hospital, have the operation, about 2 months in hospital, but he survived. He did develop a rather hefty addiction to morphia while he
Nice.
was in there. But still, he's fit again, he returns home, and he says to his brother, let's just destroy that deed of assignment. We're fine. I'm okay, I can work. Don't worry, I'm going to pay you everything. And Charles is like, no. Now, he was the master of the house, and every penny for the practice he felt was going to come to him. So the brothers' relationship gets a little frayed.
So this is when the older brother dies, then anything is committed to repay this debt. Am I understanding this correctly?
The details of it, because it's been lost in the annals of time, it's not that if he dies. I think the idea was that if he was completely incapacitated...
So if he's unable to work or
Yes.
anything like that. Okay.
That Charles certainly thinks that he can put this into effect whenever he wants.
Make a claim whenever he
Yeah,
feels necessary.
he feels that now that William has signed it, he can control the household, everything comes to him, he could sell everything and he gets the money, and it's not legitimate. William's like, no, I'm still going to work and you can live here and everything, and the lawyers side with William, as you will see in the story. So Charles is completely... He thinks that he's entitled to everything now.
Gotcha.
And he's going to act like that as well. The Lyddons around this time hire a 15-year-old called Charles Naylor, who's going to be called Naylor in this story, that summer to live in as a page boy. Page boy is more of a wedding phrase that I feel. But his jobs were to look after the surgery and keep it clean, answer the door, learn dispensing, help to do the cooking and make the beds and cleaning. So he's completely being taken for a ride in this job.
It's almost like a footman sort of thing, isn't it? In a fancy house type thing. It's just someone to do everything you can't be asked to do.
Yes, but he's the live-in. He's the live-in, and he does it with a cheery disposition. But he's one of the key witnesses, so a lot of the accounts come from him and the other servants who were there. But he's the one who stays the night there. So Charles is now tormenting his brother with violence now and threats. William gives as good a fight as he can, but he's pretty out of it on drink and drugs now, and he's older and frailer. So Charles rants about money, claiming that William is destroying the business by taking all the bloody morphia that's in it. Mother, you'd think, would side with him. No, Mrs. Lyddon is siding with Charles. And they're both joining in on tormenting William. Now, sadly, there's references of Charles repeatedly trying to throw his brother out of the house and then keep him there because he wants to claim all of his money. He becomes violent. He punches him. He gives him a black eye. On another occasion, Mrs. Lyddon hits the doctor with a big stick.
Nice.
Now, these attacks may sound sad, but the majority of them from this point onwards aren't as sad because they don't do as much damage because Charles is hammered most of the time. And they get increasingly insane. So one night, there's an account from Amos, the coachman, who's called upstairs. Charles calls him upstairs. I'm like, I'm a coachman. What do you want? And he's like, no, you have to take care of William because he's drunk and delirious. And William's just in bed, sheets up to his chin, like, I'm not doing anything.
I was having a nice dream.
Yes. Charles, pissed, is staggering around the room trying to hit William in the bed, but can't do it because he's so drunk.
Oh, that's impressive.
So he's flaying around the room. Amos sort of stands in between them going, okay, you need to stop doing this. Charles says, I will murder you, to Amos. The quote again in Murder by Gaslight is, Amos, however, was not only sober, but also stronger and fitter. So during the fight that followed, it was Charles who was knocked down. So you can imagine him just pushing him, just like, get the shit out of my face. Another time, Amos found Charles in William's room again at night. Charles is running around accusing William of having whiskey hidden in there. You've got whiskey in here.
You've got booze.
And he tears the place apart. He goes out, gets a small chisel to open the drawers of his bureau. When he can't open them, he goes out, he gets a bigger chisel.
Quite right.
Comes out chiseling.
Always chiseling.
Throwing stuff aside. He's got mementos of... William's got mementos of his dead wife in there. And he's crying, going, don't touch those. And Charles is going, oh, balls to your dead wife.
I want whiskey.
After being kicked out by Amos stays in the room, I think, huddled up with William in the bed. Charles comes in again in the middle of the night going, wait, I haven't checked the wardrobe. Oh, bloody hell.
Oh, Charles.
Another quote here. Mrs. Lyddon looked in from time to time and threw books at the doctor.
Nice.
She's just there going, yeah, fuck you, War and Peace.
It's like that. She just rock out. He's with a patient. He just comes in there and chucks a dictionary at him and then walks out the room.
Another occasion, Inspector Fowle, a local policeman, was called to the house by another servant, and he found Charles Lyddon sitting in the dining room with a double-barreled shotgun across his knee.
Okay.
William, terrified, tells the inspector, my brother is threatening me with a gun, and I can't go into the surgery to do my business. And Charles shouts, yes, and if you come near me, I will use it.
Okay, this family has issues.
Oh, it gets so much worse. It gets so much worse, Nick.
It's a shotgun involved already, so come on.
Yeah, he doesn't... He later says, oh, no, they're just blanks. I was just threatening
It's fine.
him.
It's all fun.
William, shaking, leaves the room. Charles swipes at him as he leaves, and he says to him, "Your breath stinks, and I don't want it in my mouth."
Delightful.
Policeman gives Charles a very big bollocking.
Yeah,
going, why
good.
am I here? And you need to sort yourself
Put
out,
that
mate.
gun away.
On another night, a little more chillingly, Amos says he does attend to the house for a very long time. He finally resigns, actually, after a while. He's like, I can't deal with this anymore. But he does go into William's bedside, and he's worried about him, and he does see a bottle and a glass next to his bed. Amos couldn't read, but he sees a big red label across the bottle.
Oh, it's a big warning sign.
Yeah, and he sees William trying to take a drink, and he says he smacks the drink out of his hand. He says, "I don't think you should do this." William is very grateful, and he's like, "I'm worried. I think they're trying to get me." When questioned,
Well, that took a downturn.
yeah,
It was all very jolly.
oh, it's going to
before
come up again. It's going to come up again. Don't worry. When asked about this bottle, is it poison? Charles only laughs.
that. Poison.
Or he's drunk. What? Again, moments of the story where it dips into sadness, and then you're going, "What?" William has a friend who visits, Dr. William Hill of the bookies.
Oh,
Not
the bookie
really.
now.
No.
Of bookie fame.
Yes, Dr. Hill. He visits in September 1890. And when he calls in, he finds William very sick from pneumonia. Now, William has contracted pneumonia. No one is looking after him. The room is horrible. It's filthy. The slops haven't been taken out. He's really not in a good way. He doesn't even appear to have any food. And Dr. Hill says to his friend, "Don't worry, I'll get you food." At first, he provides him with some Brand's essence.
Oh, and what is Brand's essence?
Could have
Do
been the
tell.
secret ingredient, Nick. I think you would have killed me.
Okay. Give me a rundown.
I'm going to say what it is, and I'm also going to read you the Amazon description, because you can order it on Amazon, and the description is too good not to read.
Okay.
So I can only describe it because I've never had it. And people may have better descriptions. It's like some sort of cross between a chicken bouillon and like a paste. Something like that. I don't know if you're supposed to dilute it or eat it, but the description is Brand's original essence of chicken, made of all natural extract of fine quality chicken, hygienically processed under high temperatures.
Nice.
Fat-free and cholesterol-free, with no artificial chemicals or preservatives. The goodness of Brand's original essence of chicken is sealed airtight in a patented triple safety cap. Ideal for busy executives living the life in the fast lane. Mums balancing hectic schedules.
Well, quite, yes.
And students.
And I have never heard of such a thing.
You've never heard of it until I
Brand's
had to Google
essence.
it.
No,
I mean, that's what's on Google. It's like Brand's Essence. You Google it, and there it is.
but it's still available now.
Yeah, apparently.
terrifying.
Unless it was an entirely different kind of Brand's Essence for different kind of mums on a hectic schedule or other executives living
Well,
the
it does
fast
seem
lane.
that sort of you come across these sort of like magic potions they had in this sort of period.
Yeah.
Well,
We had Valentine's
exactly.
juice
Yeah, all
and
these
meat
juices,
juice.
meat juices, and things like that, which are distilled things, and they're going to cure everything, and they're going to sort you right out. So I'm not surprised that there is a compressed chicken juice essence.
Yeah. Dr. Hill brings William that. He then also brings him a chicken.
I bring you essence of chicken and a chicken.
I don't know if the chicken was alive or dead. Maybe he just didn't understand the parameters of how food works. I brought you just a live chicken and a really processed version of it. I don't know what happens in between. Have this chicken and paste to smear on the chicken and enjoy it. So yeah, William's sitting there with a live chicken and some weird paste.
Sounds great.
He's not feeling better.
No,
He's not
I
feeling
imagine
better.
not.
Aside from throwing various chicken implements at his friend, he does insist that a doctor needs to visit William. He has to leave. He's away on business.
I was like, is he not a doctor?
He is a doctor, but he's like...
But he's too busy.
He's
to
too busy
diagnose-
getting fucking chicken,
He's too busy
apparently.
with the chickens to diagnose anything.
He's a shit doctor.
Okay.
He is walking out the door going, I am self-aware enough to know that I am not good at this.
Are we sure he's not a vet?
He's a terrible vet if he was.
He's a chicken doctor.
I'm mostly known in bird law. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he walks out going, I have not been of any help here. Get a real doctor in to see him. Or he makes arrangements to get a doctor in. Because I think if you ask Charles
Yeah,
wouldn't
that's
have
not
anyone
gonna
in.
happen,
And then Dr. Boswell arrives. Dr. Boswell
Okay.
comes in. Okay, Boswell's going to save
What's
the day.
he bringing? Compressed cow? Or...
I've got some beef paste. Here we are.
Go on, Oxo Cube, have that.
He's let in by the servant. The servant is a little reluctant to let him in. He's like, no one is in a fit state to see you. No, I need to see the patient. I've been, paid to come here. He comes in, he goes upstairs, finds Charles lying on the landing, pissed out of his head.
Nice.
There's a woman as well, a young woman lying with him, absolutely hammered.
He's having a fun time.
Steps over them, goes into the room. Poor William is sick and is recovering from pneumonia. The doctor says to the servants and says, like, who is looking after him? Where is the nursemaid? Where isn't there a nurse here looking after him? And Naylor says, oh, he has a nurse. It's that woman who's lying on the landing.
Brilliant.
Oh, she's pissed. Best nurse in all of Faversham. Yeah. So not getting the best of care.
Yeah.
Catalogue of mistreatments. So Dr. Boswell actually does confront Charles the next day once he's sobered up and insists William be moved to a nearby cottage hospital. Charles asks, do you think my brother's going to get better? Dr. Boswell replied, I hope so, but it is no thanks to you that he is not dead now. Again, William has a spell in this cottage hospital. He regains strength. But it's not long before Charles is insisting he becomes discharged. And William agrees because he fears what will happen to him if he stays. He fears that the retribution from his brother will be even greater. He's obviously living in a terrible state of fear.
Yeah.
And it's a weird dynamic that's going on that
Very
Charles
peculiar.
is trying to get him out of the house at different times. And then he wants him back. And you'll see this continue. He goes home. The torment continues, and in a lovely piece of drama, which may be my favourite bit, Charles takes to taunting his brother by shaking a bunch of keys in front of his face, going, I'm the master of everything.
God, okay. Well, I commend you on your use of a bunch of keys. Okay.
There you go.
Fine, I will allow this.
There you go. I gave you morphine and I gave you a big stick. And I was going to give you brand essence. No, that's mean. But yes, big bunch of keys.
Big bunch of keys.
That is a wonderful way to taunt someone. Ooh,
It really
look
is.
at me.
Yeah, absolutely. I have control of your house. I have.
Responsibility, my friend.
Yeah.
There are more rows, occasional periods of calm. Charles continues to harass his brother, at times, as I said, demanding that he leave the house, other times pestering Mr. Gibson, the lawyer, to exercise the deed of assignment, to get him out of the house and have all his money turned over to him. Luckily, the lawyer's going, no, that's a terrible idea. Your brother is fine. He's capable of working. Stop being mean to him. You're horrible. He calls Mr. Wiggins as well. Mr. Wiggins says the same thing. Leave me alone. I'm not your lawyer. By now, in an interesting turn, William has moved into the dining room.
Okay. Is it nearer the drinks cabinet?
It may well be. I think he thought he could outfox Charles by moving rooms. This is all recounted by the servant because he moves into the dining room. Charles is too
No
pissed
one will
to
ever
find
find
him.
me here.
I think Charles basically wakes up, wait a minute, he just follows him around, saying he has to get out of the house using the immortal line, you will either go to Herne Bay or get out of this house.
Ooh, Herne Bay, what a treat.
They are determined that he is going to go to Herne Bay.
Okay.
And Charles and Mother come up with a wonderful plan that they're going to force him to go to Herne Bay and he's going to live there.
Well, nice by the seaside.
The seaside.
Get some fresh air.
Again, this is but minutes from our homes, people. So they force William into the family coach. It's a trap, actually, but it's a coach. They get him out there. They dump him on the streets of Herne Bay. Another excerpt from Murder by Gaslight. At 5 o'clock that afternoon, Ronald MacDonald, a Herne Bay cabinet maker and part-time fast food,
and part-time burger flipper,
came across a man who he later learned was Dr. William Lyddon, and was reeling about the road as if he were drunk. Now, I need you to picture this sequence as I say it. He caught hold of one of the iron posts supporting a shop blind, swung around and fell to his knees. He lay in a most peculiar manner, his forehead and knees on the ground, but his legs in the air.
Forehead and knees on the ground, but legs in the air. How does that work? Trying to picture this.
I mean, it's not elegant. Mr. MacDonald went over to help.
Feet in the air.
Legs in the air.
But how are your legs in the air and your knees on the ground?
I think the lower, the calves.
Yes, the sort of
pointed
the lower
upwards.
leg pointed upwards. So, okay.
Mr. MacDonald goes over to help.
What, nice, Mr. MacDonald.
Yes, another man is there and lifts him up. William is sort of slurring and saying weird things. They're like, okay, well, who is responsible for this man? Is there anyone around? And then suddenly Mrs. Lyddon appears.
Okay.
Must have been watching from afar.
This is the mother.
The mother.
Okay.
And Mr. MacDonald asks her, do you know him? He is my son, she said. One of the leading doctors in Faversham.
They go, thank God I live in Herne Bay.
And she says, do help him. And they're like, oh, of course, madam, yes. Where is he staying? She names a boarding house in Herne Bay. It's a whole sequence of events where they take him to the boarding house, and the landlady remarks that he didn't really behave like a drunken man. He talked sensibly, although he seemed to have no control of his legs.
Okay.
And I like to think that his legs were flaying around as if
Absolutely.
independent from his body.
I think some sort of Irish jig going on down there. He's doing the river dance all over town.
You know that kind of level of drunk you are as well, when you think you're talking sense, but your legs are not obeying. So there's all sorts of detail here, which I must paraphrase because there's so much to this story that it would be hours and hours long. He stays overnight in this boarding house. He's restless during the night. He's constantly tossing and turning and groaning. It's enough that people are monitoring him. The landlady of the house talks about how later on she says that she doesn't find anything on his person because she goes through his pockets looking for tobacco. So she's a thief. The next morning he's violently sick, but he seems to be doing a little better. What's gone on here later would think that has something been slipped into his system that is not just booze. Now, having hoisted William out of the house, Charles suddenly arrives the next day to take him home. As I said, weird back and forth. Maybe Charles just can't get access to William's cash without him, or can't have his vital signature. We don't know, but he decides he needs to come home. So all of this culminates in William returning to Faversham. Back in bed at home, he's brought up some milk. He's brought up a meal of raw minced steak and a glass of stout. You could have had minced steak as an ingredient.
Nice.
I'm glad we didn't, because this is lovely.
Yeah, I mean, there's a great cocktail, that. Raw mince.
So on this evening when he returns home, William apparently sees two patients, and I have to paraphrase the whole of the events of this evening here. He gives Naylor, the houseboy, some errands to run. When the boy returns, he finds the two brothers, of course, have been drinking again. Of course. A row has broken out. He recalls that they're walking from room to room, holding bottles of whiskey and gathering more whiskey as they go, yelling each other and arguing all the way.
This is my whiskey, you can't have my whiskey.
No, this is the good whiskey.
It's good whiskey, it's my whiskey.
There's rows, there's fights. They overhear all sorts of nasty things behind closed doors. Comments about beating people over the head and cracking their head with bonnet stands and stuff. And then suddenly they're walking around and they're having a chat and they're being quite amiable. William eventually passes out on a couch, and Charles tells Naylor, the houseboy, go to the police station and bring the inspector here. He makes the boy go back and forth about 4 times because he wants Inspector Fowl there, and he's like, here's a PC. He's not good enough. Go back. Okay, here's another person. He's not good enough. The inspector arrives not happy, and Charles is pissed, going, this deed of assignment, you know about it. I want my brother to leave the house. He says, my brother is in the habit of taking drugs and I might be accused of it.
Can't have that.
At this point, Mrs. Lyddon jumps in, oddly, and says to the policeman, oh, you're very kind, sir, and I am ashamed of my son for wanting to turn the doctor out. He is very ill and not to be turned out. A weird dynamic
It's
there.
a very strange dynamic, absolutely.
Yeah. Charles shouts, Mr. Wiggins wants him out.
And what Mr. Wiggins wants, Mr. Wiggins gets.
The inspector says, you are not bound to do what Mr. Wiggins tells you to. Who is Mr. Wiggins?
Who is Mr. Wiggins?
I have no background information on this.
Mr. Wiggins, he's standing right there. He's standing next to me.
Okay, is he wearing a big rabbit suit? Is that what this is?
Goes out there. Mr. Wiggins wants him out.
Yeah, it's just like a hand puppet.
Hand puppet.
He's got a little sock puppet. Mr. Wiggins said I have to kill him. Inspector's like, I'm going home.
Yes.
This is awful. The reason that people didn't come to the house about 4 times with that poor servant is one of the policemen actually said to him, like, no way, I'm not coming over. I know what he's like. The rows and the battles continue through the night, as I said, and eventually it culminates in Charles allegedly forcing William to sleep in the lumber room. So it's a servant's sort of area. It's full of detritus and crap and everything. He makes a servant guide him there. William is quite pissed and, out of his mind at this point. He has to sleep on the floor with a sheet, and Naylor gives him blankets, and he can't defy Charles. And it's pitch black in there as well. And he's like, put him in there, no food, no drink, just leave him in there. And Charles himself locks the door and pockets the key. And he's left in there overnight. Now, the servants don't see William in there. They understand that he has been checked on, and in the morning, Charles goes to bed. He actually makes Naylor sleep in the same bed with him that night.
Okay.
I don't know if anything sexy happened. I don't know, but I think Naylor is just 15, pressed against the wall, please keep away from me, you madman.
This is what I pay you for. You're mad now, bitch.
I just need to keep an eye on you so you don't know anything that I'm doing. But There's a back and forth where Charles and Mrs. Lyddon herself say they've checked on William several times and he's snoring and he's fine. But as the day goes on, they go in to bring him some, maybe bring him some food, and they can't rouse him. Mrs. Lyddon can't wake him up. They tell Naylor, we need to call the doctor. You move him into his bed and we'll put fresh sheets on it. It'll look all nice.
Make it look nice, yeah.
Yeah. They've taken quite a while to ask for the doctor. They send the 15-year-old in to lift up this 40-something man. They're standing, Charles and Mrs. Lyddon just standing there staring.
Oh, gotcha.
So the 15-year-old is, undignified, dragging this body up to his bedroom. He can't get him on the bed. He's too high, so they have to sort of prop him against the bed.
Or someone else fucking help him.
Well, Mrs. Lyddon, I think, comes in and does it. Oh, no, I can't, my back. He's left propped against the bed. They go out, they call the doctor comes back, and he is dead. By the time they actually go in, he's face down. He's rolled over and rolled halfway under the bed, and it's not a nice way to go.
No, it's really way out.
It's very, very sad. Of course, when the doctor arrives, Charles and Mrs. Lyddon are crying and weeping. Oh, we're so worried for poor William. Oh, it's awful. And Charles is so very upset, and as soon as the doctor comes out, oh, is my brother dead? Great, can I have a death certificate immediately, please? Nope, no idea how he died, and you need to call the police. It's oh yes, I should call the police. I should call the police, definitely. Makes it look like it's his idea. Naylor goes to the police station. Hello, it's me again. Can you come back to our house because someone's died now? Inspector Fowl comes back I have had 4 hours sleep. This is bullshit. The police come back, they examine the scene, and they do find a small medicine bottle in the lumber room where William had slept. Unsure of what it contained, the police talk to Charles, and they say, okay, well, we're going to keep hold of this. And Charles remarks, oh, I'm glad you found this, as people might say I poisoned him.
Yes, they might.
At that point, he then apparently leaned on the doorpost and said, oh, my poor brother. I only brought him back from Herne Bay yesterday, and to think it has come to this. Nice drama, I like it.
Very dramatic.
A post-mortem found that William had died from morphia poisoning, an amount that was unusually large and definitely fatal. At least a quarter of a bottle.
That'll do it.
Yeah, that's not good. It was also found that there was no whiskey left in his stomach and no other liquids that anyone could contribute to him having for that evening, but there was a large amount of liquid in his stomach. Yet Charles and Mrs. Lyddon said he'd been in the lumber room all night and he'd had no food or drink or anything apart from what they'd given him earlier the previous day. So no one's accounting for what is all this liquid in his stomach. Yeah, what's gone on there. So a coroner's inquest is held at Faversham Guildhall, again a place you can visit now. A large crowd stood outside and groaned loudly when Charles Lyddon put an appearance. Boo to you. Charles insisted, as I said, William had wanted to sleep himself. He'd wanted to sleep in the lumber room. Who doesn't love to sleep in the lumber room? Who doesn't like to sleep in the pantry?
Who doesn't love sleeping amongst lumber?
Mrs. Lyddon declared she was too upset to give evidence, even though she was someone who had told witnesses several times, and the witnesses testified that she had been into the room.
Yeah, Miss Lyddon's got a lot to answer for, I feel.
It's curious. At the end of the evidence presented, the jury declared, we believe that morphia was feloniously administered to the deceased by Charles Lyddon. Charles stood trial in March 1891 at the Old Bailey. The prosecution claimed that Charles had poisoned his brother and that morphine bottle that had been found in the lumber room had been his, and Charles had gone in and given him a drink laced with this poison, given him an overdose. They just attributed it to him. The defence said William was a drug addict. He probably took that bottle in himself, in his pocket, sealed up, even though the servants said they didn't see any bottles in there, they didn't see anything when he went in. He took it, took too much, and died. Technically, where is the evidence?
This is true, yeah.
The brothers, they said, had been close friends. And sober.
I don't think so.
But this evidence is purely circumstantial. Who can say how the morphine got into his system and why he took so much? When looking at all the reports, it may seem clear to us that something was afoot here. But in summing up, Mr. Justice Hawkins said, the prosecution in every case has the duty cast upon them of establishing the case by evidence which, in the judgment of the jury, is reliable. If the evidence left a reasonable doubt, then it is their duty to the prisoner and to their conscience and to the public to return an adverse verdict, unless the prosecution establishes the case by evidence, which left no reasonable doubt. he went on to say, is it shown on the part of the prosecution that the deceased did not take morphia with him into the room? There is no evidence that it was not in the deceased's pocket. I cannot see why, really nailing his colours to the mast here, I cannot see why, if the prisoner wished to administer poison to the deceased, he should have put it in that room, as it could not have been done quite easily in the deceased's own bedroom.
He has a point.
This surmising statement from the judge leads the jury to take only 2 minutes to declare the verdict of not guilty.
Yeah. It's interesting that back in this time, and you do find a lot, judges very much make their opinion known in their summation and things like that, which you don't get these days.
Yeah.
The judges go, he's fucking guilty! Now go and deliberate and let me know your honest opinion. But he did it.
Yes. I mean, the opening bit of it is very true. Like, is there a reasonable doubt here? You can't...
Yeah, absolutely.
And he was right. It's circumstantial evidence. Charles Naylor walked away a free man. And it is circumstantial evidence. And even today, you would probably question it, going, there's nothing to say that he gave him the poison, that he made him drink it, that he forced it down his throat or anything like that, or because he was a drug addict, did he just knock it back himself and took too much and they didn't take care of him? They certainly wanted him dead. I think we can say that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty clearly. He wanted his brother dead. He did nothing to help him when he was ill previously. He did nothing to help him in that room. And whether or not he went in and gave him morphine, he took morphine in there, he was very happy to lock the door, and what happened. But he still walked away a free man. So whether he helped him over the edge or whether it was a delightful coincidence, that is the story of Dr. William Lyddon.
I like that story. It's a good story.
Lot to it there, isn't it?
Yeah, but you just don't know. It could have been entirely a happy coincidence.
It's not covered that much because it's not a cut and dried, clear case of murder. It does seem like a really unfortunate and sad in parts case of like horrible domestic abuse between these brothers, and that he was very badly mistreated. It's very clear they were happy for him to die.
Oh god, yeah, and that the mother has taken such a side as well.
Yeah,
it's very peculiar.
People have picked up on that later on, like, why didn't she give evidence? Why didn't she support Charles? She could have said all manner of things in the inquest and in the trial to defend him.
Yeah, but she just...
Why didn't she?
Well, I suppose it's, if she did, then she's either condemning one of her sons.
Yeah.
Type of thing. So is it, from her point of view, it's best to, I don't say anything, and therefore I haven't taken a side?
Well, William wasn't her son, though.
That's a very fair point.
Yeah, stepson. So she could have defended Charles better.
Okay, fair point.
Yeah. She could have stood up and said whatever Charles says is true, but she didn't. She didn't. So is that a bit of... Is it genuine? There? Is it coincidence? Is it her going, I'm too sad and this has all ended in a really nasty way?
Yeah.
Or is she going, if you're going down, you go down your own, mate?
Yeah, absolutely. This is all on you.
Yes, so there you go. But lots of lovely quotes and phrases and stupidity in there.
Lots of madness.
A lot of things that we've probably all done when we've been drunk, falling face down on your knees and your legs are in the air and you go, how did I get in this position?
Yes. I'm not sure I've ever been in that position.
I don't know.
No.
I think we all know someone who has, we, after a few too many sambucas and someone's fallen asleep in a position where you'd like take a photo of them going, what the hell are you doing? But also, you shall go to Herne Bay or get out of this house,
absolutely.
Nick. Yes. I'll hit you with a big stick and throw books at you when you're not looking. There we are.
Delightful.
Well, what do you think, people? What do you think of the story? Do you think that Charles did it? Do you think Charles and Miss Lyddon were in cahoots and they actively poisoned William? Or do you think it was just a coincidence? Do you think it was just them waiting out someone in very unfortunate circumstances to die, which is maybe crueler and colder?
Yeah, pretty grim. Absolutely.
Yes. Tell us what you think in the comments of wherever you listen to this episode or any of the social media channels you follow. But very importantly, you must mix up a 5 keys.
Absolutely. It's bloody lovely. I might have another one in a minute. It's great.
Oh, let's.
It's really nice. So yeah. And it's got all your classic ingredients. Get a bottle of Cynar in.
Yeah.
It's another one that's going, this is a good cocktail. So
we've used it a lot and it's never failed us.
Yeah, absolutely. So very, very tasty drink.
Use it as a gateway drug to chartreuse, but stop because chartreuse is awful.
Lies.
Remember to follow us on Patreon and tell your friends about the Poisonous Cabinet. Let's get some more followers on board. Please do leave us a review if you haven't already on Apple iTunes, wherever you listen to your podcast, but Apple iTunes particularly, it helps us get up the ranks. Share comments and share positive things about us. We really appreciate it when you do, and keep sending us suggestions of more stories and more themes and topics we can cover. We have had some through. We record all of them. We really appreciate it. Thanks for listening, guys. We have been the people inside the Poisoner's Cabinet. We will see you next week. And remember, your loved ones are trying to kill you.